New Year to everyone. This is the last in our series of community conversations about the CNNCTS project, the Collaborative of Native Nations for Climate Transformation and Stewardship. I'm Megan Jennings. I'm a research ecologist at San Diego State University, and I'm one of the leaders of this CNNCTS group, and really excited to have this final webinar here today to tell you a little bit about one of the components of our project. We've been doing this webinar series throughout the fall to make sure that those who are interested and want to participate in different aspects of CNNCTS know what we're up to and hear about it straight from the folks who are doing the hard work. Oops. So a little bit about CNNCTS. We are a grant-funded program that was received an award from the University of California Office of the President. There was money allocated from the California legislature for climate action grants. And we went, I think it was $82 million went to the University of California system for that. It was open to any California institution of higher education. And so here at San Diego State, we've been working in close collaboration with our partners at the Climate Science Alliance and many tribal governments and nonprofit organizations, different kinds of partners across the network to focus on Indigenous stewardship as a form of climate action, returning to Indigenous stewardship practices and working towards co-stewardship and land back practices. So what you see here is the landscape that you might recognize as Southern California, but with the names of tribal territories across this landscape. And this is who we are intending to serve with this program. We are working from the Santa Barbara region down to the US-Mexico border and having some connections across the border as well. And then from the Arizona-California border, did I freeze? Nope, sorry. My computer makes a sound when my internet logs off and it told me that it did. So from the Arizona border to the coast. So we're trying to serve a really large region, but fortunately we have a host of really wonderful partners who have been actively doing work and are continuing that work with us together as part of CNNCTS. So we have 5 different branches of CNNCTS. We are working to advance science-informed climate action, translate those knowledges into practice. We're putting adaptation into action with demonstration projects, expanding landscape stewardship pathways with training and capacity building programming, and then finally supporting social entrepreneurship to be able to take the step from individual workforce training to community development by having businesses that can help grow community economic stability and persistence. And at the bottom, you can see all of the different partners. We have over 18 partners who are part of the network. Some are funded, some are not funded, depending on their different role. We have some federal partners who do not receive funding as part of their collaboration. But you can see here we have a number of universities across Southern California, nonprofit organizations who serve tribal communities, represent tribal communities, as well as tribal governments. And together we are busy doing this work. Brought together by and coordinated by SDSU, the Climate Science Alliance, and guided by the tribal working group that the Climate Science Alliance convenes. So I told you about those 5 focal areas. Over the last, as I said, couple of months throughout the fall, we've been having different webinars. If you've missed them, don't worry, they've been recorded and we can share them with you. So we've followed along and we kicked it off with our advanced science-informed climate action, and we're carried on through December with our expand landscape stewardship pathways. And today we're able to do our 5th and final webinar on supporting social entrepreneurship. And I'm really glad to have a great lineup of partners here who, again, we're already doing fantastic work. And we were here to help try and grow those programs and support them in serving additional communities. So a little bit about this focus area. Our goal here was to promote social entrepreneurship to help build climate resilience economy through support of development of Indigenous-led businesses. So there's 2 different aspects of that we're focusing on. One is entrepreneurial training, and one is to consider some market opportunities for fire and fuel stewardship and land stewardship. We're not going to talk about that component, the market opportunities piece. We're kicking that off hopefully with some of our MBA students at SDSU this coming year. But today we're really going to focus on that entrepreneurial training where have the opportunity to coordinate, expand existing entrepreneurial training opportunities for tribal partners. And our team members here are going to talk to you a little bit about what that is, but it's a great group of folks who have all been working together. Some things are new and expanding, which is really exciting to be a part of. And I'm just so thankful to everyone who's here for having us be a part of what you're doing and sharing that with the community. So with that, I'm going to kick it off by passing it to, I believe, our SCSU team to start, and then our CSU San Marcos team will follow. So Alex DeNoble, I will pass it to you to get started.
Okay, thank you, Megan. And we really appreciate the opportunity to showcase what we're doing in the entrepreneurship training space. My name is Alex DeNoble. I just recently completed a 40-year career on the faculty at San Diego State, teaching entrepreneurship and running our Lavin Entrepreneurship Center. Now, in my new role, I continue working on this particular project exclusively. We connected with Megan early on in her development of the overall grant proposal process, and she reached out to us to see if we could provide the entrepreneurial training component as part of the grant, and we were pleased to partner with Megan and the Connects group in this capacity. My partners on this effort are Dr. Teresa Harris. Teresa runs a nonprofit called the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Studies. And our other partner, Steve Sivitz. Steve is part of SCORE San Diego. This is a mentoring program associated with the National SCORE organization. And Steve works with us in SCORE San Diego. So this has been our team, and we'll tell you a little bit about our program, and then we'll turn it over to Scott and Curling to talk about the San Marcos expansion effort. So next slide, please. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about this program. Our program is called the Urban Poverty and Business Initiative Program. It's headquartered out of the University of Notre Dame, and it was a program initiated by my colleague, Dr. Michael Morris from the University of Notre Dame, to essentially take what we've been doing on the academic side of entrepreneurship education. We've been training next generation entrepreneurs for years through our academic programs at schools and universities across the country and around the world. And we started thinking about how we could take this kind of entrepreneurship training into underserved communities within our own regions. My colleagues and I have developed a very robust program that is 10 to 11 months in length, and it involves delegates or participants in our program initially participating in a 6-week boot camp to learn about business basics associated with starting a company, such as marketing basics, understanding numbers, the financials, leadership training, operations training, and so forth. So as we take a new cohort of delegates through this basic business training, we then ultimately transfer them into our partner organizations, in our case, San Diego SCORE, but this is at a high level here. The UPBI program provides mentoring and also student consulting. I do want to make note that this program is headquartered out of the University of Notre Dame, and we are operating this program in more than 42 cities, not only across the United States, but around the world, where we believe we are making a significant impact in underserved communities around the world to enable economic viability and sustainability of local communities. So we are pleased to be the San Diego chapter of UPBI. So that's an overview of the program, and let's take a look at the San Diego piece. Next slide, please. In San Diego, we started running this program 4 years ago. In my former role as director of the Lavin Entrepreneurship Center, I partnered with Dr. Teresa Harris from the Center for Leadership and Entrepreneurial Studies. We immediately attracted the interest from Steve Sivitz and SCORE, and also the Rady School, where we then collectively launched our program with our first cohort in the Southeast San Diego region, an underserved area of San Diego County. Later on, as Megan was preparing the grant application for Connects, we figured out a way to work together so that we can open up our entrepreneurship training opportunities to members of the tribal community as well. So we really welcome the Connects partnership with our cohort. In South San Diego County, where we're focused, so far over 4 years, we've serviced and worked with over 76 participating micro entrepreneurs. We hold our boot camp, our 6-week boot camp at the Salvation Army because we wanted to be in the community. And that typically runs from September through October for 6 Saturdays, followed by a mentor pairing event in early November, where our delegates get paired with mentors from SCORE, and the SCORE mentors work with our delegates to frame out projects that could potentially advance these micro businesses, and so that we could bring student consultants in to help them work on these different projects. And ultimately, in the April-May timeframe, we provide a business showcase. And so right now we're in cohort 4 of this particular program. Next slide, please. I'd like to turn it over to my colleague, Steven Sivitz, to tell us a little bit more about how we run the mentoring component of the program.
Thank you, Alex. So for those that are not familiar, SCORE is a national organization. It's a nonprofit, and San Diego is one of the larger and one of the older chapters. And a key element of the services that we bring to the entrepreneur and small business community is mentoring. And, our, members and mentors are, very, very experienced business people with decades of background in a wide variety of businesses, markets, et cetera. So what we do is, after the workshops, to help the entrepreneurs, the delegates, think about different projects that will advance their business, somewhat based on what they learned at the workshops, but also kind of hoping that the workshop stimulated their thinking and that they would interact and talk and work with the mentor for about 2 months of thinking about what do they really need for their business to advance? What tools, what platforms, what things have they not done, such as a financial plan or a competitive analysis? And the mentors spend a significant amount of time with the delegate. Our approach in San Diego is we have one-on-one mentoring between the mentor and the delegates. We have considered other approaches like mentoring in groups, but we are finding that the one-on-one is very valued by the delegates. Then in the time frame from November to January, the delegate is creating this plan of projects, usually about 3 to 4 to 5 specific projects with deliverables and goals. And it's constantly reviewed and worked with by the mentors. And once that plan is completed, and we are right at that point now, literally as we speak, we then use that as a recruitment document for students in the SDSU entrepreneurship and internship program. And the mentors continue working with the delegate and the student on helping them complete and detail the different projects. The students do a tremendous amount of work. They do a lot of research. They do a lot of analysis. They are very hands-on and involved in working with the delegate. And there is continual oversight, input and review by the mentor to be sure that they're on track. Or what often happens is they come up with a point that was not included in the original project's plan. And they review that with the mentor and see, should they add that additional activity? And if they do, what might drop off? So we are very excited about it. We have many of our mentors that are participating on the program are on their second, third, some of them are even fourth. They are year in and year out, and they see an awful lot of value and excitement in participating in this program. So thank you, Alex.
All right, thank you. Teresa, let me turn it over to you for a short time. Teresa runs the back end of our program. She is the glue that enables us to run the program. Would you like to add anything, Teresa?
I think you already covered that we start the program in the fall of each year. And so information is on our website as to how to sign up for that. That's all I wanted to add right now.
What is your website, Teresa?
It's Center for Leadership Southwest.org.
Center for Leadership Southwest.org.
SW.org.
Center for Leadership SW.org.
I think we added it to the chat. So there's
Sergio's been adding those to the chat for us. So click those links.
Next slide, please. Before I turn it over to Scott, this is the uniqueness of San Diego across the 42 different cities of the Urban Poverty and Business Initiative program. Each city has one university that is the core, the center of operations. San Diego County is so big, and we're only able to work very effectively in the South County area. And then we started working with Cal State San Marcos up in North County. And through a great partnership with Cal State San Marcos, we could now offer our training services in both South County as well as North County. And so I want to turn it over to Scott and Curling to talk about how they've initiated this program in their area of San Diego County. Scott and Curling.
Thank you, Alex. Really appreciate that. And thanks to Megan and Sergio. Really grateful to have this opportunity to share what we're doing with folks. I do have to say, before I tell you a little bit about myself and about the university, how grateful we are to Alex and Teresa and Steve. And I've said this to them before, but I think it bears repeating. You know, they are exemplary partners because when we entertained the idea of launching this program through San Marcos, they've been very generous. And the truth is, most folks in this position might be a little bit more protective and guarded about the secret sauce that they use to run a program like this. But I think you can tell from the way that Alex and Teresa and Steve talk about the program, there is an altruism to what we're trying to do to help people get the skills that they need to start their own business. And the truth is, we're going to make more progress toward that goal if we're able to work together. And so I just want to publicly acknowledge and thank the three of them for being so generous with all of the tips and tricks and secrets that they've learned along the way. We are benefiting from all of the work that they've been doing. So my name is Scott Gross, and I am the Associate Vice President for Industry Partnerships at Cal State San Marcos. I have been at the university for 20 years and have held a variety of positions there, but I think the thing I want to share with you that's relevant here today is that a long, long time ago, I went on a semester abroad program when I was in college, and I spent about 6 months in the Dominican Republic. I learned a lot of things through that experience, but probably one of the most important is the magic that comes when we are able to show people practical application of the theories that they're learning. And one might think that this is specific to college students, right? You go to class, you learn some theories and some ideas, and then you go into the real world and you put them into practice. But this is not just for college students. This is for everyone living life, right? We hear about ideas, and then when we put them into practice, it's got a little different flavor. And so it's helpful to have guides and mentors as we do that. This was profound for me when I was in the Dominican Republic and really changed the path of my career. But it is also what inspires me every day to get out of bed and go to work at Cal State San Marcos, because it is what we're doing every day there. And the graphic that you see on the slide in front of you is, for me, at the core of how that happens. When we bring students and faculty together with industry and other community partners, that's where that magic happens, right? The stuff that students and faculty are exploring in the classroom comes to life when they start working with a community partner or an industry partner. And so about 2-3 years ago, we opened a place on campus called the Innovation Hub. And the Innovation Hub has as its core mission doing this, bringing students and faculty together with industry so that they can solve problems. And we spend a lot of our time focused on innovation and on entrepreneurship and supporting our students in particular, but really everybody as they go down that path. Next slide, please. So this is a graphic that we put together to try and internally understand what it is that we're doing, but then it also helps us explain to others what we're doing. So let me walk you through this. This blue circle that you see here is what we refer to as the innovation ecosystem. And this is not just Cal State San Marcos, right? Because of globalization, that ecosystem is literally the world. You can go ahead and click. This is very small and you're probably having a hard time seeing it, but around the edge there are some light gray words, and those are the audiences that we are trying to engage in the ecosystem at Cal State San Marcos. And they include faculty, staff, and students, and community and industry. And we make a distinction between those two. The industry is private sector and community is nonprofit and government sector. And the reason both are part of the diagram is that we want to engage both of those audiences. You can click. These are the spokes of the wheel, if you will, and they are some of the programs that help us achieve what it is that we're trying to do. And then the last click shows you probably the most important part for us, which is the innovation hub at the center of this ecosystem. And it is not because the innovation hub has all of the answers, far from it. It's there in the center because we see ourselves as a resource, as a broker, if you will, that is going to connect the people who need to be connected to make this work happen. So if a student comes to us and says, I'm stuck at this part of bringing my idea to life, who can you connect me with to help make this happen? We can do that, right? It might be a mentor, it might be an industry partner, it might be a faculty member, but that is the work that we're doing at the Innovation Hub. I am very excited to say that this past October, the Innovation Hub launched our pilot of what we call the Resilient Entrepreneur Program. It is exactly the same program model that Alex shared with you. It is the UPBI model out of the University of Notre Dame. We just gave it a little different name that's contextualized to our community. And it operates exactly the same way. So I do not have a slide that's going to walk through the program model because Alex did a beautiful job of that, and there's no need for me to bore you by repeating it. But it is the 3 phases, right? The boot camp, the mentoring, and the student consulting. So what I thought might be a little bit more helpful than me just repeating the program model again is if we go to the next slide, you'll see a quote and then a little bit of how our programs are different, because we are clearly the same in that we're following the model, but we do have a little bit different nuances in how we implement the program because of our communities and because of the way that we've chosen to do this. This quote, you heard Alex refer to Dr. Michael Morris, who's the founder of this program model, and he believes very firmly that entrepreneurship is both a tool and a mindset, and that tool and mindset can help individuals overcome adversity and ultimately alleviate poverty. And that is what drove Dr. Morris to start the program and continues to drive him to do more research. So all 42 of those programs that Alex mentioned that are happening around the world, they're also sharing the data of the people who are starting those businesses and the business continuity. And Dr. Morris is studying that, and he's helping us understand which pieces of the program are effective and where we might need to make some changes. And so it's another one of the reasons why I have such a deep respect for this program model is that there's continuous improvement, right? We're examining what we're doing, and then we're trying to improve on it regularly. So SDSU and CSUSM both have the same program. We do it a little differently. You heard Alex say that they intentionally go to the Salvation Army, which is off campus, meeting folks where they are in the community. We at Cal State San Marcos hold our program in the Innovation Hub because what we have found is that the program attendees and participants like the idea of coming to a college campus, and that gives them a certain feeling. Again, there's no one right answer. It's just a little different way of doing it. We both do mentoring. You heard Alex and Steve talk about how that's done in partnership with SCORE through the SDSU program. And at our program, my colleague Curling, who I'm going to turn this over to in just a minute, owns his own firm called Focus, and it focuses specifically on mentoring. He has a proprietary approach to mentoring that includes both collective mentoring and individual mentoring. And so we have engaged his expertise to help with that. SDSU has a partnership with Cox Cable, and they have a public service announcement. That is one of the many ways that they try and share the information about the program and try and recruit participants. We do most of our advertising through word of mouth. We've chosen to find informal leaders in communities and try and share this opportunity with them. We know, at least in North County, that folks are more likely to trust a program like this if they learn about it from somebody else that they trust, which is why we tap into those informal leaders. And then last, both programs have a community showcase where the participants who are in the program get to showcase their business and also get to connect with resources from financial institutions to legal services. And then we are toying with something that I'll mention again toward the end of this, but it's a half-day workshop that provides the general community with a taste of what the program does, offering some sort of business basic. And we do that in a 3 to 4 hour window of time as a way, again, to whet their appetite and then talk about joining the program and that you can fully commit to it. Next slide, please. As we talk about relationships and reciprocity for this program, we thought that it would be helpful to share some of the kinds of businesses as well as this community of entrepreneurs. And so I'm going to stop rambling and let my colleague Curling take over and explain a little bit more about this.
Sure. And thanks, Scott. And it's just great to see everyone's face. Alex Noble has always been this kind of pillar community with the Lavin. So when I heard about the program initially, I said, "Oh, it's going to be high quality." But when I met Teresa and Steven from SCORE, you guys have definitely done an amazing job as like role models for me and Scott on everything. So I want to just first of all put that out. And when I was a little kid, I was a SCORE mentor for 10 years. So definitely SCORE is just a great organization. So having Steven being part of that is definitely great. It's been really unique. My background is more Silicon Valley, things of that nature, tech startups, Y Combinator. And what I found out in this community in San Diego, it's more like a family. And I love the fact that how we've been working with SDSU on certain things, and that it just feels more like a San Diego-ish type of thing where different communities can work together. I knew I was initially talking with Alex, how you guys were helping so many people in the South part of San Diego. I was part of Jacob Center, so that was kind of like the South Euclid area, but there was not really a big emphasis on the North side. So I think it's this great partnership of us both working to bring the communities together. Our cohort has been really great because it's been more of this kind of creative side. A lot of times you go to startups, been more very brick and mortar businesses, maybe lifestyle, all those type of things. But we've also been getting a lot of people like from podcasting. We have these office hours once a week with everyone, and Kelly has been an award-winning journalist for 20 years, and she's creating podcasting and helping out people who have that vision to talk. So these type of businesses have been ones I haven't seen in the accelerator. So I hope becomes this kind of trend of having these creatives there who are also trying to have this kind of foundational background. I always think about with innovation, you need three things. First, you need training, which you all have heard about this boot camp, which talks about things like legal and technical operations. We call it customer discovery, so you can understand product market fit. So that's the training part. I think that it's really solid. Everyone needs to know that, needs to understand that. But the middle part, also, we talk about mentoring, but it's really more like accessing to networks, right? What we want to do in a lot of ways is make sure that these entrepreneurs access people that they would never access. We call those weak nodes. Noam Wasserman talks about weak nodes, where it's not just your family that you're talking to, it's kind of like your professor or someone else and their network. That's really crucial. So I really feel it really important for everyone to know that it's just accessing these different networks that people wouldn't have access to. And thirdly, I think it's getting access to capital. I think that's very important, micro capital, but even human capital, as everyone's been talking about, having the ability to actually have consultants. At Cal State San Marcos, we can have this thing called senior experience, where we actually have students, a group of 5, and a faculty helping you and guiding you. So I just want to put that out there on the part that this is pretty, I'd say, comprehensive program. One thing that really makes it stand out, though, is these kind of community leaders. I'm on the board of Startup San Diego. We help close to 5,000 startups per year during our first Mondays and Startup Week. We always invite those cohorts to our Startup Week and to our first Mondays, just so I'll be really frank. When you're actually starting a company, it can be very lonely. And at Startup San Diego, what we're trying to do is connect people to other founders right there so they can share their journey and have this peer-to-peer mentoring. Also, SBA and SCORE, SBDC, all those are great groups we point to. We point to groups to the Brink, another group part of SCORE, just so they actually know that there's other opportunities for them to get help outside our group. We even have the small free legal clinic at San Diego University. There's certain things that we say entrepreneurs don't know what they don't know. least we point them in a way that they actually can have access to things that maybe they've never even heard of. Of course, lenders, we've been working with groups like Mission Driven Finance, that's Aurelia in them. Of course, SBDC, but just making sure they know where to access capital and just have these kind of frank conversations before they need it. I always talk to lenders, and lenders always say, it's kind of good to have a relationship and talk to us before you need something, right? We're trying to teach founders that it is a relationship type of thing, even when you're talking about finances. And lastly, investors. I've worked tons of groups like Interlock Capital and things of that nature. One great thing about having investors involved early on is that you always want to make sure you understand and know what their needs are, what they're looking for. So when you do need capital or when you do need something, that you at least are on the same page with them. We call that on the grid. So I think that's a little bit, Scott, what I was going to talk to you on this part, but we just have an amazing group of just creatives, but we also have other groups. One thing I might say, we have this thing called cohort management or construction. Usually 1/3 of our think about our delegates are in that kind of idea stage. We're gonna
We may have lost Curling. Oh, I'm sure that what he was going to share was going to be insightful, and maybe we'll give him a chance to do that when he comes back. Curling, it is important for me to share with you all that Curling and Dr. Paulo Ometo are the two that have really taken the lead with our Resilient Entrepreneur Program. They are the ones who have been the thread, kind of keeping it all running together. Dr. Ometo was not able to join us today. She is traveling, but Curling was able to be here, and I'm just really grateful to the two of them. So next slide, please. Oh, great. Alex, I think
yeah.
I'll turn this back to you.
All right, so good. I mean, you've got a sense now of what we're trying to do holistically around the world with the UPBI program and locally here in San Diego. To date, I mean, we have partnered with Connects, and in our program, we've had several tribal members join our program, 3 in particular, but we need to do more. We are looking for ways to deepen our engagement with members of the various tribal communities that are in this process of starting a company or thinking about it. If we can open up our programs to these communities, we would love to be able to work with them in connection with the Connects program. One of the things we are doing is we're seeking now a new initiative on both the San Marcos and the SDSU campuses. There are classes that are specifically focused on the tribal communities, and these are students from those communities. And so we're seeking to involve them in our student consulting program. And hopefully through their engagement, it'll build up our credibility and our branding and our recognition within the larger tribal communities to take a chance and work with us. So if you're looking at this, share the work that we're doing in San Diego in North and South counties with your networks. We're always looking to work with early stage entrepreneurs. Refer mentors to us and possible guest speakers, and consider sponsorship. We are a complete volunteer organization in South County, and we try to run this as best we can with minimal resources. But if this program interests you, and whether it's in North or South County, we would love the opportunity to help you join us to continue making an impact in the community.
And Megan, if you go to the last slide, there's a little bit more information. The Resilient Entrepreneur Program, we start in February in the spring, which is to stagger intentionally with the SDSU program that starts in the fall. We are currently recruiting for our spring cohort, and so you can, if you're interested or know folks who are interested, please feel free to share this info. There's a QR code to get to the application, and then there's also a website there. And then the SDSU program, as Teresa mentioned, that website has been put into the chat. Thanks again, Sergio. And you can find more information there.
Thank you all so much for that wonderful overview of the two programs. It's been really exciting, as Alex said, when we first were putting together the proposal for Connects. I reached out to Alex because I knew about the San Diego program, and very shortly thereafter learned that there was an opportunity for San Marcos to start up a second program. And I view that as a real benefit to our efforts to try and expand this opportunity to tribal communities and extend our outreach to those tribal communities. So we view the San Diego program as potentially being a great resource for some of the tribal communities that are in South County, and then San Marcos is very well situated to serve a number of our tribal communities in North County, although people are welcome to participate in whichever program suits them. A few things I wanted to point out, and then I think a few questions I'd like to pose. And in the meantime, if any of you in the audience have questions, I'd encourage you to put them into the Q&A box and I can pose them to our panelists here. And actually, I'll stop sharing for a moment so we can see everybody's face. A few things I wanted to point out, and then I'll ask a few questions while we wait and see if folks in the audience have questions. So there is a small fee for the program, but it can be waived, correct? And then what we have offered to tribal participants is through the grant, we can pay for your fee for the program. So it just helps support, the cost of running the program. And so we are contributing that. And if traveling to the training, to the boot camp sessions is problematic for you, we can also offer travel support to help defray those costs for you. So we want to try and eliminate barriers. We understand sometimes, committing to doing those sessions, that can be, what am I committing to? And, do I have the resources to take that time away from my family or from my business? Or if you're still working a job and trying to get your business up and running, am I taking time away from that? Well, we're trying to eliminate any of the barriers that may exist to helping you be able to choose that you want to do that. So one question I had, let's see if there's any, nope, not yet from anybody in the audience. So who is this right for? Right? Like I have a business idea, but I'm not sure, is this for me?
I think that if you're thinking about a business idea, I mean, it certainly would be a start. But what we need, Megan, for people to really join this program is commitment. If you're just notionally thinking about an idea and then show up to the sessions, but not really engage with us, you're missing a lot of it. And we experience a drop-off from the first session through the 6 weeks of the boot camp. But then when we go into the mentoring and then transfer into the student consulting, that's when the rubber meets the road. Those people that are really committed to trying to take either start a company or advance it to the next level, the resources are amazing. Our students are talented, they're trained, and they're going to work under the supervision of experienced mentors. So it's meant for people that really want to make a commitment to pursue their ideas.
Yeah, and if I could add there, Alex, it's not just for people who are trying to start, right? The beauty about the program that Michael Morris put together is that it really meets you where you are. So no matter where you are in that business process, the program is for you.
Yeah, I definitely agree with Teresa and Alex. The only thing I would add, this is just something because when we did programs at USC, we always looked at three things. What resonated with Alex said, the first thing we always look at is for commitment. right? Usually I can tell by the commitment on people during an interview or how they actually present themselves or even the problem they're trying to solve. The second thing we kind of look for is this, we call it being competent. Like if I can put you in one room with a mentor, are you listening to them, or can you actually in some ways filter out some of that information for them and come up with a solution of some nature? And the third thing we kind of look for is, I think the most important thing I actually feel like is this coachability. Just like Alex said and Teresa, you're going to be getting these great opportunities and great mentors and be in this space where you're going to learn so much. Being able to be open to be coachable is a really key part that's actually needed. And then later on, as you graduate, usually people who are coachable become really great coaches. And that's what really builds the community and allows these cohorts to grow. That's all.
Thank you so much. I wanted to ask that question because I think one of the things we've been doing in trying to outreach to tribal communities is to offer, the program, but part of that is relationship building and making sure that there's an understanding of what would the value added be for me, or am I in the right place to take this kind of opportunity and run with it? And I think Scott and Majami, who's the tribal liaison for CSU San Marcos, we had the opportunity to go to the Southern California Tribal Chairmen's Association and talk to them about the program. And Majami pointed out many tribal community members are already entrepreneurs. They might just not think of themselves that way, providing food to the community, creating jewelry, creating art, doing a lot of things to serve the community. And it could just be taking that next step if you want to have that sustain you more or to grow in your community. So I think just highlighting where those opportunities are and making sure people understand this is where this could fit in for you, if that is something you've been thinking about or wanting to do and wanting to take that jump, take that commitment, because I think one of the challenges we've faced in offering this opportunity in different communities is maybe not having an understanding of, does this opportunity fit me and how does it fit into what I'm doing and where I want to go? That also, I wanted to highlight that we've been toying around with the idea that Scott mentioned of offering sort of like a business 101, business basics, to give folks a teaser of what is this whole boot camp about, and am I even ready? Because I think there's maybe a gap there between I'm thinking of something and I'm ready to make the commitment, and maybe it's partially fleshing out the idea of what that business opportunity could be, or how, what direction you want to go in, or as you said, if it's somebody already with a business, how do I want to grow, or how could I benefit? And so I think that might be an opportunity, and please feel free to comment on this, but I vision that as an opportunity to just be able to sit down and have a conversation about where could this go for me and how could a program like this help me? Or if I'm not quite ready, what would make me ready? What kind of thinking would I need to put into this, or planning? And there wasn't really a question there, but I would open the floor to any of you to just sort of comment on that.
I think there's some really interesting opportunities that we're playing around with at the global level of UPBI. For example, we're trying to put together industry-specific groups of micro entrepreneurs that are running food service operations in different regions, or beauty salons, or whatever that might be, so that there is collaboration with people from different communities who might be able to help. Now, the next thing on our agenda we're going to talk about at a partners meeting Thursday morning is setting up a barter system where you need things and other members of our global community have. We think that being part of this global organization with strong San Diego representation in it, that we can really expand the opportunities for people who seek to engage with us. But as Curling said, we need engaged people. We need committed people that recognize the value of these resources and what it could mean for them in their future.
Megan, there's a question in the Q&A box.
I see that, yes. I just wanted to give anybody else a chance to comment, but maybe I'll go ahead and ask the question, and then if anybody else wants to just sort of chat about that, the opportunity to help with that readiness, right? Are you ready to make the commitment, or do you need a little help to figure out what the commitment is that you're actually making? So the question in the Q&A box is from Jenna Thompson. For the need for mentors, facilitators, coaches, and speakers, are you all looking for volunteer providers, or are those positions paid? And can you share what areas of expertise you're looking for?
Well, in our program, ours is, completely bootstrapped. It's Steve, Teresa, and myself, and others who are volunteers. And we run the program on a shoestring budget. And so for us, we need volunteers that want to do this. That's why it's so important for us to have the SCORE chapter as our lead sponsor. But if we're going to grow and scale this business, we're going to need more mentors. So we have to figure out an economic model that could potentially work as we try to scale this operation.
What
Yeah,
about you guys, Scott?
yeah, for us, ditto. It's a pretty small budget. In the partner network, the UPBI partner network, there are cities that have been able to secure sponsorship and other funding. And I think Alex and I have talked about this. We have visions that one day our programs may be able to secure that kind of funding, and then we would be able to offer some compensation or a stipend to mentors. But at this point, we're in a place where we are happily accepting volunteer time.
Yeah. The sponsorships that we've asked for, if we could find financial sponsors, we want to provide stipends for our student consultants. Right now, they're volunteers, and our students really would like to get paid, but right now we're relying on student and mentor volunteers. But if we were to get sponsorship monies, those are the two areas that we would allocate resources towards, primarily in our case, for student stipends at this point as consultants.
To answer the second part of Jenna's question, I might turn to curling, the areas of expertise that we're looking for from mentors. Curling, do you have thoughts around that?
Yeah, I do. Usually it's based kind of like around our modules offhand. So people have expertise. One thing I always say it's I always think these subject matter experts. So for instance, last cohort we had people who were really great at QuickBooks, right? So very detailed on QuickBooks. We had workshops on just QuickBooks and what that looks like. But then we had higher level, someone working on accounting so people can understand what break even looks like, or fixed or variable costs. So that's kind of like what we're kind of looking like on that end. Some of the modules were offhand. One thing that's very interesting, what Morris has brought in, which I really love, is these 80 steps. So our group has really been focusing on these 80 steps. In that 80 steps, there's things like legal help that's needed. So we've partnered with the volunteer legal clinic and some other groups, but just even on the legal end, initially those 80 steps are needed. So that's on that part. One thing that's really unique is that on the technology side, everyone's been talking about social media. So of course, people who have that social media skill or storytelling. We always feel like when you're helping out founders, there's three things you're trying to help them out with. You're trying to help them learn how to be a planner. So people who are really great at project managers, we would like them. We really want to help them with execution. That's how you actually run a team and operation. So people who help with operation who have ran a team before. So we can have some authentic talks on that. But lastly, it is storytelling. So I'm even thinking about people even from like TEDx that can help them with storytelling and be able to pitch their idea not only to investors, but to future employees or to other vendors that they're going to work with. So that in general. And of course, we always need someone, we always feel like this marketing and sales. Because on the sales part, sometimes we have creatives really great at creating things, like myself, but you do need like a Steve Jobs. I'm more a Wozniak. So someone who actually can help on the sales and marketing end, very specifically concepts on pipeline, things of that nature. So that's in general, that kind of it lays out our 6 modules or our 6 weeks are those topics, Scott.
Darling, I would add one more thing to that list. People that could help our delegates use leverage AI to grow their businesses. So we went to a seminar put on by UPBI at Notre Dame, and there's so many different ways that if our delegates could understand and not be intimidated by these tools, it could really help leverage and grow their business.
Oh,
That's a great one, Alex.
Great, Alex. Yeah, great.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and thank you for the question. If you have those areas of expertise, or you have them within your network and you'd like to share, I'd encourage you to reach out to our panelists. If you don't have their contact information, you've got their website, so you're welcome to reach out to us and we can put you in touch. And we are at the top of the hour, so I just want to say thank you, and I'll share a quick link here. We already did the Q&A. This is, as I said, our final community conversation about Connect, so thank you so much for joining us. We'll still be around doing lots of other things, and if you'd like to watch any of the prior community conversations, you can see it on our website, but you can check out our blog and hear what everybody's up to. We'll be sending out a newsletter that I'm sure will have that bootcamp teaser or business basics teaser before too long, so you can sign up for that, or you can follow us on Instagram to see what we're up to. But thank you all so much to our panelists and for the attendees who've joined us today. Happy New Year.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to everybody. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.